It's that time of year where I start daydreaming quite a lot about spring. The other day, when I took Bear out on his morning walk, I could actually feel the warmth of the sun on my skin, which was so nice after a week of sleety, icy weather. I could even hear cardinals singing, and it felt like a hopeful harbinger that warmer days are definitely on their way. Lately, I've been very inspired to paint skies, especially golden hour sunsets or bright, warm dawn skies. I've been doing a lot of research, watching tons of tutorials, and poring over different paintings to see how different artists have accomplished their techniques. And it's been really fun. I thought I would share some of the things with you because if you're in a creative rut, or if you're struggling to find some inspiration in dreary winter days, perhaps painting skies will be inspiring to you. I thought in this video I would share just a few of the tips that I have gathered in my many hours of research. One of the first things that I will tell you is to observe the sky in real life, looking closely for the different colors and how they can create a mood, and then translating that into your own pieces. I love this particular painting by Enda Bardell because she uses bold colors that I wouldn't have thought to use in my own paintings. This has inspired me to get bolder with my color. You can be bold with color without being garish, I'm realizing, and it's fun to try to experiment with creating certain moods in your pieces. I tend to create more stormy skies, more moody and dramatic skies. But if I'm going to create these warm, glowy skies, I need to be more experimental with my warm yellows and golds and peaches, even reds. So next time that you're outside, especially around sunset or sunrise, really look closely. Don't just see, oh, it's blue, oh, it's yellow. Look really closely for those differentiations of color in the sky, and then go back to your canvas, your paper, and see if you can try to recreate the mood that you felt. My second piece of advice would be to experiment with hard and soft edges, and don't be afraid to layer when you're painting your skies. Sometimes you want to go at it in just one wash and make it really soft, but other times, if you're trying to create that really dramatic cloud castle look, sometimes you're going to need to have some harder edges and even layer once or twice. In this particular piece, you can see that she's used at least 2 layers in the back. It looks like it's ultramarine, a very soft wash of ultramarine with a few hard edges here and there. And then over that, she's added more warm colors, even a little bit of ultramarine and red mixed together to create a more dramatic piece of contrast to her cloud, to give it that bold castles in the air look that you sometimes see in a seascape. To create those harder edges, that will require either leaving some dry spots on your paper or just not even starting with a wet wash. Perhaps you'll just put wet paint on the paper and guide it along with your brush, leaving certain places dry. Another thing that you can do is lift off color with a dry paper towel. That works really well too, but I'm thinking that in this particular example here that we're looking at, that the paper was dry and then water was added to it so that you could get that really fine, crisp line. My final piece of advice is to try using more paint and water, tilting your paper either sideways or forwards, upside down to create some dramatic compositions before lifting out highlights with either a tissue or a clean, damp brush. This technique comes from one of my very first YouTube channels that I ever followed. It's Lois Davidson. If you don't follow her, I really encourage you to because her style is so inspiring to me. If I'm feeling stuck in a creative rut and need to be inspired to just play with my paints, I go watch some of her tutorials because her effortless looking, just freestyle, where she lets the paints kind of create the composition and doesn't feel like she has to take so much control of what happens on the paper. It inspires me to just play with my paints. Having that playtime is so important because if you spend all of your time on planned pieces and really struggle hard to create something polished, You can quickly get burnt out and frustrated, especially when things don't turn out the way that you planned. And you can kind of forget that watercolor is one of those mediums that kind of resists planning and resists control to a certain extent. So, painting skies like this, using bold colors and letting the paint flow freely on the page can kind of loosen you up and get you inspired to explore those happy accidents and see what can come of playing with your paints. I decided in this piece to go with a more impressionistic style, layering a couple of times with my clouds and using different colors to create that warm golden hour glow. And I really like how it turned out. It's different than most of the skies that I've been painting lately, but it was really fun. Wherever you are, I hope you have a beautiful day or night. Sending you warm daydreams of spring and summer days.